Hi everyone, Namaste. So we completed big block elements, 16, 17, 18 will be completed. We'll start the next chapter. So in easy chapter, it will be surface chemistry. So surface chemistry is a very easy chapter. So all definitions we have to remember in this chapter. So we know that what is the chemistry? Chemistry is the study of chemical reactions. What is the surface chemistry? So when the chemical reaction takes place on the surface of a substrate, the surface of a reactant, then that study we are calling as surface chemistry. So surface chemistry is based on one important phenomena, that will be adsorption. It is a total chapter is based on one word, that is adsorption. So what is adsorption means? Adsorption is a occupying of particles or accumulation of particles on the surface of the substrate. So on the surface of substrates, when particles are occupying, the process is called adsorption. Suppose, so we are taking a pen or whatever. So when we are placed in water, the water particles will be occupying on the surface. The process is called adsorption. If water is going inside, then that is called absorption. So absorption is a bulk phenomenon. There are two phenomena. One is the absorption, another one is the adsorption. So adsorption is a surface phenomena, absorption is a bulk phenomena. So we are studying surface chemistry chapter. So wherever the surface chemistry is there, the word we use adsorption, not absorption. So absorption will not come here, only adsorption. So the definition of adsorption, it is the process of accumulation of particles on the surface of the substrate is called adsorption. So see this, we are taking in a solid substance. On this solid substance, suppose gas particles are occupying on the surface, and this process is called adsorption. So adsorption is a process of occupying of particles on the surface of the reactant, and which is providing surface, and that material is called adsorbent. And which particles are occupying, those are called adsorbents. So one is the adsorbent, one is the adsorbate. So adsorbent is the surface providing material, adsorbents are occupying particles. So adsorbents will occupy on the surface of adsorbent, and this process is called adsorption. So on the surface of adsorbent, adsorbents will be occupied. Remember, when adsorbents, that is particles, are occupying, there must be some force of attraction between adsorbent and adsorbate. Then only particles are coming. So it can be strong force or weak force. But when particles are attracting on the surface means there must be some attractive force between adsorbents and adsorbent. If due to these attractive forces, so formation of bond will be takes place, either it is a physical or chemical. So due to this formation of bond, energy will be released. So due to releasing of energy, enthalpy sign delta H will be negative. So during the adsorption, energy will be released. It may be low energy or high energy, but definitely energy will be released. So adsorption is a exothermic process where delta H will be negative. Similarly, when you are observing delta S, entropy, H is the enthalpy, S is the entropy. So when delta S we are observing, here before adsorption, particles move randomly in any direction. But when they are adsorbing, that means all particles are becoming order. So that means randomness is decreasing. So during the adsorption, randomness will be decreases. When randomness is decreasing, entropy will be decreases, delta S will be negative sign. When both delta H and delta S will be negative, so definitely delta Z, Gibbs energy also will become negative. So all thermodynamical parameters like enthalpy, entropy, Gibbs energy will be negative for adsorption. So H, S and Z sign will be negative for adsorption, since adsorption is an exothermic process and it is a decreasing of randomness. Hence all will be negative. So this is the most important. So adsorption is process of accumulation of particles on the surface of the adsorbent. So in total surface chemistry chapter, we study about adsorption. Now this adsorption is classified to two types mainly. One is the physical adsorption, another one is the chemical adsorption. Physical and chemical adsorption. There are two types of adsorption, physical and chemical. So physical adsorption is also called physisorption. Chemical adsorption is also called chemisorption. Physisorption and chemisorption. Now, what is the physical adsorption and chemical adsorption? As I said, adsorption is the attractive forces between adsorbents and adsorbent. If these attractive forces are very weak force, so weak forces are nothing but van der Waals forces or dispersion forces. So this physical adsorption is due to weak van der Waals forces between adsorbent and adsorbent, and the forces are van der Waals forces, and that is called physical adsorption. And this chemical adsorption is due to chemical forces. This is due to chemical forces. The chemical forces means we can take as ionic bond, covalent bond, hydrogen bond, etc. All these are the chemical forces. Ionic forces, electrostatic forces, covalent forces, hydrogen bond. All these are chemical forces. So due to chemical forces, that is called chemisorption. Due to physical forces, that is called physical adsorption or physisorption. When weak forces are there, the releasing energies also will be lesser. Here the releasing enthalpy is nearly 20 to 40 kilojoule per mole. So 20 to 40 kilojoule per mole of energy will be released during this adsorption. But we know that chemical bonds are strong when compared with van der Waals forces. Here the enthalpy will be nearly 80 to 240 kilojoule per mole. In physical adsorption, very less amount of energy will be released. In chemical adsorption, high amount of energy, that is 80 to 240 kilojoules will be released. Now this physical adsorption is universal in nature. So that means physical adsorption can take place between any two things. So it is a universal nature. Between any molecules, there is a possibility of this van der Waals forces will be there. So physical adsorption, that's why it is a universal. But here chemical adsorption is always specific in nature. Chemical adsorption is a specific in nature. That means only between particular chemicals chemical adsorption are possible. Between all molecules chemical forces does not exist. So that's why it is always specific in nature, but it is always universal in nature. So the next point is both either physical adsorption or chemical adsorption. It is directly proportional to surface area. And more the surface area present, so more the particles will be accumulated. So more the adsorption. So physical adsorption is directly proportional to surface area. Also chemical adsorption is also directly proportional to surface area. So both directly proportional to surface area. The next point is the fifth point is it is directly proportional to pressure, and it is also directly proportional to pressure. So when we are increasing pressure, so adsorbing molecule also will be increases up to some extent. That's why directly proportional to pressure. So more the pressure, more the adsorption will be takes place, and it will be inversely to temperature. But this chemical adsorption is directly to temperature. So pressure and surface area both are same, but temperature inversely to physical and directly to chemical. That means when temperature is increasing, physical adsorption will be decreases. For example, see this, here on this solid surface some vapor particles are there. On heating, these particles will be evaporated. That means adsorption is decreasing. That's why temperature decreases adsorption. But in chemical adsorption, when heating is taking place, so adsorption will be more increases. Why? Because this is due to requirement of activation energy. This is the most important. In any chemical reaction, there is some extra energy is required. That energy is called activation energy. So, due to requirement of activation energy, adsorption is directly proportional to temperature. So, when we are increasing temperature, so easily they can get activation energy and easily they can produce the product. So, adsorption will be high. So, that is important. Here in physical adsorption, no activation energy is required. But in chemical adsorption, always some activation energy is required. So in chemical kinetics chapter, we studied that always in any chemical reaction, some activation energy will be required. So that's why it is directly to temperature, it is inversely to temperature. Another point, under high pressure, if you are increasing pressure on this physical adsorption, so more number of layers will be formed. So that's why it is called multi-layered structure. Physical adsorption is a multi-layered, whereas chemical adsorption is a unilayered. So physical adsorption is a multi-layered, whereas chemical adsorption is a unilayered. So that means once bonds are formed, so does not form extra bonds, that are always unilayered. It is continuously forming one by one. This is a unilayered. So under high pressure, so continuously it will form layered structure. Similarly, the last point is physical adsorption is reversible in nature and it will be irreversible in nature. So here adsorption and desorption. Desorption means removing of particles from the surface of adsorbent. Is both are easily can take place simply on increasing some temperature. So adsorbate particles can be escaped. So this is a reversible. So once bond is formed, does not reversible on even high temperature we are using. So this is irreversible and this is the reversible. So this is the most important differentiations between physical adsorption and chemical adsorption. So the next one is Friendly's adsorption equation. So Friendly's adsorption equation. So what exactly Friendly says that? So as I told, adsorption is directly proportional to pressure. The same according to Friendly's, the amount of adsorption is directly proportional to pressure whole power some value 1 by n at constant temperature. When temperature is constant, the amount of adsorption is directly proportional to pressure with some power value that will be 1 by n. From this, x by m is equal to constant will come k into p power 1 by n. So this is the Friendly's adsorption equation. X by m is equal to k into p power 1 by n, where x is amount of adsorbate, m is the mass of adsorbent, k is a constant, p is the pressure, whereas 1 by n is an integer value whose values will be in between 1 to 0. 0 to 1 or 1 to 1, 1 to 0. So x is the amount of adsorbent, m is the mass of adsorbent. In the given mass of adsorbent, how much adsorbate amount is there? That we are calling as adsorption. So adsorption means adsorbate by adsorbent. Given adsorbent, how much adsorbates are present? That we are calling as adsorption. It is always directly proportional to pressure with some power value. The power values will be in between 1 to 0. So why this power value is used? See this, when we are writing the graph between X by M. Versus P power 1 by M. So X by M and P power 1 by M both are directly proportional. So from the origin it will be increases like this. See this. So with increasing of pressure, absorption is also increasing. But after some time, it is becoming constant. After reaching a specific pressure, the remaining this is a constant value. So that means for a particular value, this 1 by n value will be 0. When 1 by n will be 0, something for 0 will be 1. That means x by m is equal to constant. So x by m is always constant when pressure 1 by n value reaches the 0. So that's why our 1 by n value we have to take. Why is 1 by n we are using simply? See this. Suppose, so this is an adsorbent on this surface, some adsorbents are there. On increasing pressure, more particles will occupy on this surface. But after some time, the surface is completely covered. After surface is completely covered, so whatever the extra pressure we are using, so that will be useless, because when surface is completely covered, so adsorption is completed. So adsorption is independent of pressure. So to represent that independent value, we are using power value 1 by n. When surface is completely covered, that means 1 by n is with 0. After that, whatever the pressure we are using, adsorption does not increase, it will be constant. So that's why always power value 1 by n is used. This value 1 to 0. Initially it will be 1. Initially 1 by n is equal to 1. But after some time it will become 0. When it becomes 0, adsorption is constant, it is independent of pressure. So that's why Freundlich equation only applicable to low pressures. At low pressure, both are directly proportional. But at high pressure, it is independent of pressure. So the drawback of Freundlich is it is only applicable to low pressure, does not valid under high pressure. So that is the Freundlich equation. According to Freundlich, adsorption, this is mostly physical adsorption. Adsorption at constant temperature is directly proportional to pressure, but there must be some power value. Why power value means after some time, whatever pressure we are increasing, adsorption does not changes. So that's why we are using always power value 1 by n. 1 by n value is in between 1 to 0. When it is reaches 0, adsorption will be constant. So this is the Freundlich equation. And the graph is called isotherm. Since it is taking place at constant temperature, it is called Freundlich isotherm. You can use logarithmic equations also. So for this equation, when you are applying log on both sides, it will become log x by m is equal to log k into p power 1 by n. From this, log x by m is equal to log k plus 1 by n will come before log p. So to this equation, when you are writing a straight line graph, log x by m versus log p we are writing. So this is y axis, this will be x axis. 1 by n will be slope, will come like this. Slope will be 1 by n, so intercept will be log k. So this is the logarithmic equation of Freundlich equation. So this is direct graph and this is the logarithmic graph. This is about Freundlich. Simply says that adsorption is directly proportional to pressure, but it is not directly continuously increases in pressure. After some time, it is independent of pressure. That's why power value we are using 1 by n. So 1 by n simply represents that is the where it will become 0. Where surface is completely covered. When surface is covered, so adsorption does not take place. That is the Freundlich adsorption equation. Now we will see the applications of adsorption. So adsorption has number of applications in the industries. So some important applications are written. So adsorption technique is useful in the making of gas masks. So in the gas mask, we use mostly activated charcoal. So this activated charcoal will remove the poisonous materials. So mostly the persons who are working in mines. So in mines mostly poison gases will be released. So that poisonous gases will be absorbed by the activated charcoal present in the gas mask. So gas mask also based on absorption technique. Similarly, controlling of humidity. So whatever the moisture or humidity can be controlled by using silica gel. So we all know that silica gel packets will be present in purses bags because that is to remove the moisture or to remove the humidity. So humidity can be controlled by using silica gel. Silica gel is an absorber of moisture. Similarly, removing of colored matter by animal charcoal. So from solutions can remove colors. The solution will become colorless. So the color solutions can be removed by using animal charcoal. So animal charcoal is used to remove color matter from the solutions. That is also adsorption technique. Separation of inert gases. So in the P block we have seen noble gases are separated by coconut charcoal. So that is also adsorption technique. At different temperature, different noble gases will be adsorbed. That is also adsorption process. In curing diseases. So to decrease disease or to cure disease, you take medicines. So medicines also acting as whatever the absorbing agent. So they absorb the microorganisms or they will kill or they inhibit the growth of the microorganisms by absorbing. That is also absorption technique. Chromatography. So it is the most important inorganic and organic separation technique. The chromatography is also based on absorption technique. So it is used mainly for purification of organic compounds. So that is also based on adsorption. So adsorption indicators. So some precipitates like silver halide precipitate, AgCl will be white color, AgBr will be yellow color. So like that. So some precipitate will adsorb some colors, they will produce some colors. That is also based on adsorption. So these are called adsorption indicators. So precipitates will absorbing colors, they will produce some specific colors. So they are called adsorption indicators. Similarly, production of vacuum. So to make vacuum, so whatever the traces of gas are there, they can be removed by adding an adsorbing agent like anhydrous calcium chloride. It is adsorbing agent which removes complete traces of gases. So production of vacuum is also based on adsorption technique. The next one is the Froth flotation. So this Froth flotation will come in metallurgy chapter. I will explain. It is also based on adsorption. Another one is the heterogeneous catalysis. What is heterogeneous catalysis? Now I will explain. So all these are the important uses, applications of adsorption technique. In mostly whatever the industrial techniques are there, where adsorption is very important. So after adsorption, the next topic is catalysis. Catalysis is an important topic. Mostly the total surface chemistry chapter is a definition type. Just you have to read this surface chemistry chapter. No numericals are there, only practicing. So catalysis. So what is a catalysis is? Catalysis is a process of enhancing rate. Any chemical reaction rate when we are enhancing by adding additional substance. So those additional substances are called catalyst. That means by using catalyst, when we are changing the rate of a chemical process, then that process is called catalysis. So catalysis is a process, catalyst is a substance. So with the help of catalyst, we can catalyze the chemical reactions. And this catalysis can be two types mostly. One is the homogeneous catalysis. Another one is the heterogeneous catalysis. Catalysis can be homogeneous and heterogeneous. So what is the homogeneous catalysis means? In this catalysis process, if all reactants and catalysts are present in same phase, then that is called homogeneous. So homogeneous means same phase of catalyst and reactants. In heterogeneous, so catalyst and reactants both are present in different phase. For example, if we are doing oxidation of sulfur dioxide in presence of nitrogen monoxide. So take as a gas this one, sulfur dioxide gas on oxidation. in presence of nitrogen monoxide gas converted to SO3. So here reactants also in gas phase, catalyst is also in gas phase. So this is called homogeneous catalysis. Similarly, hydrolysis of ester CH3COO2H5. In this we are using acid, undergo hydrolysis, produce acid and alcohol. So here reactants and catalyst is also in same phase. So whenever reactants catalyst present in same phase, then that is called homogeneous catalysis. So like that in heterogeneous, reactants and catalysts are in different phase. Number of examples we have seen. Example, Haber's process. N2 gas plus 3H2 produce 2 ammonia. Here we are using catalyst iron. So iron is in solid state, reactants present in gaseous form. So it is an example of heterogeneous catalysis. So in the last example we have seen heterogeneous catalysis is an application of adsorption, because the catalyst is solid. On this solid surface reactants can be adsorbed, so that will be adsorption. But in homogeneous, all are same phase. Same phase means they can intermix, that will be absorption. So homogeneous is not adsorption, heterogeneous is the adsorption technique, remember it. So heterogeneous means both are different phases, catalyst and reactant. Homogeneous means similar phases of catalyst and reactant, that is called homogeneous. Like that, other types of catalysts are also there. Another one is the autocatalysis. So what is autocatalysis means? Same example I am taking, hydrolysis of ester CH3COO2H5 and water produce acid plus alcohol. In this reaction actually we are using acid as a catalyst. HCl or any other acid we are using as a catalyst. So hydrolysis of acid will be increased by addition of catalyst. Suppose if we are not adding catalyst, if catalyst we are not adding, the rate of reaction is very slow. But this reaction, initially it is a slow reaction, but after some time its rate will be increased by itself without adding any catalyst. So why? Because initially there is no catalyst, so reaction rate will be slow. But after some time the product acid is forming, acetic acid. So acetic acid releases H plus ions. So these H plus ions acting as catalyst. So one of the product is acting as a catalyst. Such reactions are called autocatalyst. So in autocatalysis reactions, initially slow, after some time they will be fast. So that is the reason initially product is not there. So that's why initially rate is very slow. But after some time product is producing, so this product will be catalyzed the remaining reaction. That's why this is called autocatalysis reaction. Similarly, another reaction is also there, that is the induced catalysis. So what is induced catalysis? Example, sodium sulfite on atmospheric oxidation, it is oxidized to Na2SO4. Na2SO3 converted to Na2SO4. So similarly, Na2ASO3, sodium arsenide on atmospheric oxidation does not oxidize. Sodium sulfite can be oxidized to sodium sulfate, but sodium arsenide does not oxidize to sodium arsenide. But remember, if this sodium arsenide is taken along with sodium sulfite, then both can be oxidized, Na2SO4 and Na2ASO4. So that means Na2ASO3, sodium arsenide, is oxidized by the help of sodium sulfite. Such reactions are called induced catalysis. So what is induced catalysis means? Some reactions will be catalyzed by the influence of other reaction. So it is directly reaction catalyzed. but this reaction directly does not catalyze. So this reaction can be catalyzed in presence of this reaction. So such reactions are called induced catalysis reactions. So sodium arsenide can be catalyzed in presence of sodium sulfide reaction. Such reactions are induced catalysis. Total 4 steps of catalysis: homogeneous, heterogeneous, autocatalysis is also there, induced catalysis is also there. Now this is about types of catalysis.